about, Mike?
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
You hear me now?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Well, let me start by saying welcome and good evening to the listeners. Welcome to our house. We have Brother Jana and Las Crawford here with us and Mr. Patrick McCarthy. Later on, we'll be joined by Maxine Stowe for a wonderful discussion. Herb, you said there was some development in Trinidad. Can you tell us what it is and what if there's any implication for Jamaica?
Certainly. And thank you, and welcome to your listeners. Welcome to my fellow panelists. In Trinidad, a month or so ago, there was an arrest and detention, believe it or not, of Trinidad's Commissioner of Police. And the question was asked, was this based on resentment for her or disrespect for her as a woman meddling in a man's world? Trinidad's Commissioner of Police, Erla Herwood Christopher, had been arrested and detained, raising significant public concern and speculation. The official reasons for arrests are related to an ongoing investigation into acquisition of illegal firearms and allegations of misbehavior in public office. Now, I'll tell you guys that the reason she had gone out and acquired firearms was for a government agency, the Strategic Services Agency in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a government agency established to combat organized crime and drug trafficking. So that tells us that this agency is the equivalent of MoCA, right?
What is
MoCA in
MoCA?
Jamaica,
What is MoCA?
major organized crime agency in Jamaica. And I'll break it down further in a little bit. But the SSA, or Strategic Services Agency in Trinidad, combating organized crime and drug trafficking, it was established under the Strategic Services Act, and they collect, analyze, disseminate intelligence related to drug trafficking and other serious crimes, and it works closely with other Trinidadian um, security agencies, including the Trinidadian police, constabulary police. So what we have to look at, and she was eventually released on her own recognizance. They kept her for a short while, probably about a week or 10 days or something like that. And then they released her. Could that happen in Jamaica? Have we ever seen anything like this in Jamaica where a high ranking person appointed by government, supposed to be under the protection of the Ministry of National Security in Trinidad, right? Why didn't they address government policy when it comes to disagreement? Because basically, this is what it comes down to. You had people outside of the police force, which included the ex commissioner of police, that was pushing for her arrest. And if the Ministry of National Security had stepped in and put their foot down, they should have allowed the legal process to proceed without interference to make sure justice is served. Because what they're saying is what she did was illegal procurement of weapons under their firearms legal authority. And so you look back at Jamaica and you ask the question, could this have happened in Jamaica, right? So this is a situation between her as police commissioner and the leadership of the SSA, right? SSA director is appointed by the president in Trinidad. Keep in mind they are a republic for up to 5 years.
What is the SSA? What is the SSA?
The SSA is the Strategic Services Agency, a government agency established to combat organized crime and drug trafficking. And I said they are they're the equivalent to MoCA in Jamaica,
Okay.
right? So MoCA is our Jamaica's major organized crime agency, and they are responsible, major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, and it's an independent law enforcement entity in Jamaica, just like SSA, but they primarily focus on tackling organized crime and corruption. MoCA is supposed to be able to dismantle criminal networks, combat corruption at all levels of society. The agency investigates high value crimes, including financial fraud. Keep in mind, they started out investigating SSL, and I'm going to make a crucial point on that: cybercrime and organized criminal activities. Recent activities, MoCA has been involved in cases like a $47.5 million phishing scam targeting National Commercial Bank customers, leading to multiple arrests. Right? And for those of you who don't know where MoCA is, they're on Oxford Road, 2A. That's police headquarters, them two high-rise buildings over there. And they have a tip line, 1-888 MoCA tip, for reporting corruption and an organized crime. So the question is, could this happen in Jamaica? I don't know if one of you guys want to tackle it. Could the police commissioner in Jamaica, in procuring weapons for MoCA, get arrested if they did not follow the regulations established on the FLA for weapons procurement? And why is it that we have not seen MoCA arrest anybody when, in fact, there are a lot of people involved in corruption in Jamaica?
Well, you have answered the question, Herbie. Your last sentence answers the question.
Okay. You want to repeat that?
You said, without knowing the agency specifically or the laws, you said that MoCA, the Jamaica agency equivalent to the SSA in Trinidad,
right,
has not arrested anybody, even though it's widely known that there is corruption of various sorts in Jamaica. Certainly, we know from reading the newspapers and otherwise that illegal weapons procurement or the transshipment of illegal weapons has occurred from forever in Jamaica. And I'm not aware of the arrest of any significant personnel, even small personnel, low ranking. I'm not aware of it. So you have answered the question. The answer is no. It wouldn't happen in Jamaica because there is, outside of the law, there doesn't seem to be, that level um, of focus in terms of the Jamaican political elite. The other question to me is your other question, which is, I'm not familiar with who the lady is. If she's Indian or African Trinidadian. There is in Trinidad, apart from gender discrimination, there is some level of racial discrimination outside of white and black, meaning between Indian, Afro-Indian, and Afro-Trinidadian,
Right.
and Indian Trinidadian. So the name doesn't ring a bell to me. I couldn't look at the name and decipher if this was an Indian Trinidadian, but here would.
She's an Afro. I just said she's Afro Trinidadian.
Trinidadian, right? That would be who it would appear to me. She's Afro Trinidadian, and I'm not familiar with who the former commissioner was in that context. I don't know these people to say whether there may have been, some reason outside of straight legal reason. So that my feeling is that it's probably a bit of both going on in Trinidad. So Lloyd is calling me back. Let me answer his call.
All right. Anybody else want to comment?
For me, the details of race and all that in Trinidad, while those might impact the specifics in Trinidad, the area of concern for me is just the fact that in Trinidad, the possibility of a high-ranking member of the police force, in terms of, say, the commissioner, can be arrested, right, is more striking. And it shows that at least some sections of that bureaucracy, government bureaucracy or whatever, is willing to hold the leadership, to account. That for me is not present in the Jamaican situation. In our situation in Jamaica, it seems as if when it comes to ranking officials, the police force, they're either fearful of losing their jobs, or they feel that when you are a ranking official, political or whatever, you are so privileged and protected that it's a breach of privilege, for them to hold you to account. We see simple situations like, ordinary citizens in domestic disputes, and the police in Jamaica overstep their bounds, right, in carrying out arrests and abuse of citizens. And at the same time, when we see political officials doing the same things, abusing people in their domestic affairs, breaching and overstepping their bounds when it comes to contracts and all of that stuff, nothing happens. So I don't believe that the police force, I believe they are they feel that they are so controlled that they are not willing to step out of that bounds of control and uphold the law when it comes to officials in Jamaica.
I can take a different view. I think it's possible in Jamaica, given the political climate. It is possible because I've seen they arrested a senior superintendent out of an incident involving Bruce Bicknell from Tankard and what have you. I think it's possible, you know, but it depends on the political atmosphere in the country, you know. So, but since we're talking about this,
was that the bribery case, Mike?
That was a bribery case, yeah.
That was the case with what's the guy in Portland, the JLP MP in Portland?
No, Bruce Bicknell, Vaz, yes, and a
what with Vaz? Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
Yeah, that's the same case. But now we have with us Brother Lloyd Degular. Brother Lloyd, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm here.
Can you just mute your thing? Folks, we have Brother Lloyd Degular with us, and as I said earlier, I received a document from John Horton that he received from Lloyd Degular, and we decided to have Lloyd join us today to talk about this document. Lloyd, as you know, is the leader of the anti-corruption movement in Jamaica, and I think the idea of him sending us that document is to have a discussion, right? Right, Lloyd?
Yes, definitely.
That's the reason for him to send us that document. John, you're the man who interfaces with Lloyd a lot. You saw the document. Can you tell us what the thing is about? Or Lloyd, which one of one go? Lloyd, take the floor.
Well, I can read it out. I've sent it to everybody. I've sent it to everybody on WhatsApp just a while ago. I'm sorry I didn't. I thought Mikey was going to send it out. So let me read it. Lloyd, if you don't mind, I can read what it says. It says a mass boycott of the 2025 Jamaica general elections will create a legitimate crisis. Both PNP and JLP are corrupt and have nothing to offer working class Jamaicans. A people's 10-point program is what we will vote for. 1. Free education. 2. Free health care. 3. Land for the landless. 4. A minimum wage of 1 million per year. 5. Tax the rich. 6. A People's Commission of Inquiry into state corruption. 7. Forensic audit of public debt. Cancel corrupt debt payments. 8. An end to the state policy of police extrajudicial killings. 9. The Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, and the people and the police commissioner must be held legally accountable for police extrajudicial killings. 10. We want direct democracy, community self-government, and people's control of parliament. A people's 10-point program is what we will vote for. It's up to you, JLP and PNP. Otherwise, boycott. So I've just read it straight as how I get it. And I believe it would help if Lloyd explains in more, and give substance to the points that are listed here.
Lloyd?
Well, as yes, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yeah, go
Lloyd. You have the
ahead.
floor. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. Well, as we discussed the last time, my organization, the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, is advocating for a boycott of the upcoming general elections, which will be announced soon. We suspect the budget debate is going on, and we suspect that whenever the Prime Minister makes his contribution to the debate, he's going to announce the date for the general elections. So we are beginning to prepare ourselves, and I think by the end of this coming week, we will set a date for a public meeting where the issues that we're talking about and will continue to talk about today will be discussed. So that we just have to fine tune that, and we will set a date, etc. The 10-point program, which John just read, is not new. It's a basis of the organization that we advocate for these things. Now, let's deal with some of the points that are in it. Free education, for example. There is a very serious educational deficiency in Jamaica. Children are not performing well. Um, Both sides admit that there is a deficiency in terms of the funding of education. The PNP made their presentation in response to the budget of the finance minister. They don't talk about free education at all. They will give more money, etc. But they're not trying to solve the problem. And in the 1970s, Michael Manley government introduced free education. And by the time Siaga came back to power in the 1980s, he says, no, we can't afford it. And he began to whittle it away. When the PNP came back in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, they also continued along the path that Siaga set. And so they never restored free education. None of them is talking about it. And so therefore, we believe that free education is necessary. That's the only way we're going to solve the problem, because lots of children not going to school, don't have money for lunch, don't have money for a uniform, and so on and so forth. Look at Cuba. Cuba is able to export doctors all over the world. United States is now threatening to take away visas of countries which accept Cuban doctors. So it means that free education in Cuba is an example of the road that we need to go down. We need free education. Free healthcare also, similar thing. Not enough funding for healthcare, and a lot of people suffer because the health system is deficient. We need free education. We also need land for the landless. We talk about crown lands and all that kind of stuff, which the government inherited when they took over from the British, after colonial rule, direct colonial rule ended in 1962, and the British gave them all the lands. They call it crown lands. Well, not only is there crown lands, but a lot of sugar estates and all and things like that that used to be involved in sugar production of thousands of acres of land. And anytime the people capture a little piece of land, they are at risk, because the state, the government can move in at any time and demolish the houses that they build, destroy the crop that they have, etc. We need to have a discussion about it. Land for the landless. That is why so many people got killed in 1865 when Paul Bogle and the people in St. Thomas were protesting against lack of land, etc., etc. And we need an increase in the minimum wage as well. The government in the recent budget presentation is talking about, the tax, how much you have to, what's the minimum before you start getting taxed, etc. But we want to go directly. We want $1 million per year as the minimum wage, and we need to deal with that. Tax the rich. The budget was just presented, and the Minister of Finance was boasting that no, there was no increased taxes. But guess what? We are not advocating for taxing the working class people, right? Their situation is already too bad. But guess what? The billionaire, especially in the financial sector, the billionaires, they're making billions and billions of dollars each year. And the government is boasting that they are not taxing them, no new taxes. This is ridiculous, right? The rich must be taxed, especially the financial sector that is making billions and billions of dollars profits. NCB, Sagicor, um, Bank of Nova Scotia, a whole host of them. And these are the people who finance these political parties. And it's like there's a tacit agreement between them that, we give you money to run your election campaign. And when you become government, you don't tax us. So we need to get away from that kind of nonsense. Um, we need also a People's Commission of Inquiry into Corruption. We've spoken about that before. And no matter what, even if we have an integrity commission, very rarely is any politician or public official brought before the courts and put on trial for corruption, right? It's almost as if there is impunity for corruption in this country. And the Integrity Commission is prohibited from giving us all the details that they are aware of, etc. And so the politicians know how to exploit the loopholes. They created the Integrity Commission, and there is the Prime Minister has been it's been alleged that he's involved in illicit enrichment. He another politician, and him just simply go to court and file a lawsuit against Integrity Commission, and that lawsuit will probably take years before it's resolved. He might not even be prime minister when it comes up. We have Orbin, the former minister of education. He had to resign because he was charged for corruption, and his matter has been before the court from years now. 2019, I think it was around that time, and it probably will last forever and ever. When you have a People's Commission of Inquiry now, you bring the Prime Minister, you bring the Minister of Education, you bring the officials publicly, and you question them about all these things that have arisen about their wealth. And it's become a public, and the people will see what is going on. Information will come to us. And at the end of it, after a decision is arrived at in terms of what's going on, now we can decide how we're going to deal with corruption, how it works, and if any minister or whatever should be brought before the courts and charged. That is what we are advocating for. And of course, we also you were just talking about it, the policy, state policy of police extrajudicial killings, right? It is a state policy. And we can go back from Bustamante right up to every prime minister that has given a wink and a nod to police extrajudicial killings, explicitly or implicitly, right? Right through. And that policy has to stop. And let me just say this, right? We have Indicom, but Indicom is also compromised, right? Indicom is compromised. We don't get enough information from Indicom. And there is also a policy of, in the police force where senior police officers can be investigated if it is believed that they are not monitoring police who carry out police extrajudicial killings, etc., and they are not monitored, which means that the senior commanders have to be held accountable. If it is a state policy, therefore, the Prime Minister, he know about it. The Minister of National Security, he knows about it. And the Police Commissioner, he knows about it. These have to be held accountable legally. They have to be brought before the court. So that is how we're going to do it. We're going to hold them accountable, and we want an end to police extrajudicial killings. The other thing now, number 10 point, is that we want direct democracy. We want, we don't have direct democracy in this country. You elect politicians and then you never hear from them again. The only time you see them and hear from them is when election time come round, and then drop a dollar here and a dollar there in order. But what we need is to have community self-government, Trenchtown, Jonestown, Tivoli Gardens, wherever, uptown, downtown. The people set up a community organization. They come together, they discuss the issues, and they come to a decision. And if the politicians are to be credible, then they have to listen to what the people say and what the people want. So we need direct democracy. We don't want this kind of fake democracy that's going on. So in closing, let me just therefore say that by advocating for boycott of the election and putting forward our 10-point program, we intend to educate the people, have a dialogue with the people, and you have to build a movement, and you have to start somewhere, and that is our approach, going forward. So that is, the gist of our 10-point program going forward.
Lloyd, I thank you for that. I have some questions, and I want to say this. On this panel is a group of individuals with diverse background within the progressive movement in Jamaica. Not since yesterday, but a long background in the progressive movement.
You're broken up. Can't hear you.
I listen to you and I wonder if serious in terms of what I'm really dealing with. Let me ask you this. What is the objective of your movement, anti-corruption movement? What is your objective? What is the objective?
Well, we are focusing on corruption because corruption is a big issue in Jamaica.
No, the objective. What is the objective?
I'm answering that. I'm saying that corruption is a big issue. So we use the issue of corruption to educate, to organize. But as we said in the last point, we need a people's government, a people control a parliament, so that we can deal with all of these issues. And corruption is the focus. But as I said, there are other issues as well. And I list 10 of them. We have more issues going on. So we are building a movement. We are educating the people, and we're trying to build a movement. You can't bring about any change if you don't build a movement, you don't educate the people. And once you begin to have dialogue with them, and you will see how it's possible to go forward. So we are trying to build a people's movement to bring about social, political, and economic change in Jamaica, which is absolutely necessary. The two political parties are not going to bring about this kind of change. Both of them are corrupt. They are in the pockets of the rich and the powerful, and they have nothing to offer the people. That is what we're trying to do.
John,
Let somebody
you have
else
a question?
Make somebody else go.
Last.
Yes, Lloyd, my question is this. You speak about building a movement because the two political parties are much of the same. That's your movement's perspective on the two political parties. And you're trying to build a movement to replace and run the country, taking things out of the hands of these corrupt politicians who are achieving nothing. What would the structure of your rule, if you should get power, what should that political structure look like? What kind of political structure your movement is aiming towards? What would it look like to run this country with an alternative movement?
Well, let us say that we have 14 parishes in Jamaica. That we soon go to 15 parishes. We have communities in every parish. Some are more organized than others. I mean, let's start there. Let's start talking about community self-government, Montego Bay, St. Thomas, Kingston, all over. If all these communities begin to organize themselves and discuss their issues, then they become the foundation for the state machinery that would exist. It makes it possible to come together and discuss. We have a 10-point program here. Well, we want free education. We have to tax the rich, etc., etc., etc. We have to end police extrajudicial killings. The people will replace this corrupt system that is oppressive and not democratic. Let me just say one thing, right? Whenever any big politician or whatever government official come to visit Jamaica, the king, the queen, whoever, they are able to go to parliament and address parliament and say, well, I'm the king of England and this is so and so and so. There is a clause in the parliamentary system. Say you can address the parliament from the bar, right? I during the time of the Tivoli Gardens thing, I wrote a letter to them saying I would like to address parliament from the bar about the issues involving the massacre that took place in Tivoli Gardens. And they wrote me back and said, no, we can't do that. So what I'm trying to show you is that we do not have direct democracy in this country. The people who select a representative to go to parliament and say, well, boy, we don't like this, we don't like that. This is what we want. You can't do it because they will not allow you to do it. So we need direct democracy. That is what we are working on, direct democracy.
Okay, so we'll try to understand you. Community self-government would, at the community level, we know this would probably include mass organizations like the community councils, the students' councils, whatever, youth movements, church organizations, whatever. But what would be what would a central government look like? And how would a central government come about under what you are proposing?
Well, I mean, if you have community self-government, and the community self-government will select their representatives to go to the central government, and the central government now working democratically and with the community government will be able to formulate policies based upon what the people want, and you move forward. So I could just tell you, well, it will be this, that, and the other.
No, but what I'm getting at,
the point is that the people will now begin to be organized. The people will feel confident that they are capable of running the country, and they will now begin to say, well, we are the local government, and we're going to set up the central government, and the central government knows what the program is, and it's now the duty of the central government to implement the program of the people.
But what I'm trying to get at, Lloyd, is that yes, you have your community organizations, and the aim is to get people to the central government level. But how would you get there? Would you have elections? Would you have other parties? Would under your system, would people be able to vote for the two political parties?
Well, forget about the two political parties. We're not having nothing to do with no two
They're
political
here.
parties,
They're
right?
here. What you do? Go and
Political,
ban them?
the people don't want the two political parties. The people
Are
want
you
to
going to
form
ban them?
their self-government. I couldn't care less about the two political. They will just disappear because the people
No,
don't
they won't
support them.
disappear like
The
that.
people don't support them, so they are not an issue. The once it is the people who will decide the political structure, the legal structure, all those structures, it will be decided at the community level, and then the central government will emerge from that. So forget about the two political parties. We're not dealing with that. We are dealing with the people, because it's a people's government, people's democracy, people's state. That is what we want. PNP and JLP are totally irrelevant. They are not irrelevant now because it's them have the power. But when the people get the power, the two of them will be irrelevant.
I hear you.
Patrick.
Can I just make one point, one question to before Patrick?
Go ahead.
The
Finish.
problem I'm getting at, Lloyd, is that the two political parties exist in the country of Jamaica today. They exist because people are willing to vote for them. Whether me and you like it or not, people in Jamaica are willing to vote for these two political parties. They will not go away by wishing that they go away. So I am trying to find out, what are you proposing in getting to the state of people voting for other organizations apart from the PNP? How do you get to that state if the PNP and the GLP exist right now? We can't wish them away. What are you going to proposing banning these organizations if your organization come to power?
I just tried to explain it to you already.
Would you
right?
ban these organizations if your organization come to
We don't
power?
have to ban the organization because they're irrelevant. They are politically irrelevant. You're not understanding that point. They are irrelevant. 70% of the people don't vote. And if you were to go, and the other 30% probably would not vote either. They're totally irrelevant. And once the people have the power, it is the people will now begin to respect their own power, and they are the ones who will decide. PNP and GLP are totally irrelevant to the political changes that we need. They are not irrelevant now because they have power, they have the police, they have the army, they have all kind of stuff, and them can kill you, shoot you, do whatever they want to do. But what I'm saying is that once they recognize that the people do have the power, because the people come together, then they themselves become totally irrelevant, politically irrelevant, and you will see a change that will take place. It's just like some shop say, we're not going to live as slaves anymore. We want to end slavery, right? So we want to end the so-called democracy, the oppressive democracy which we have in this country, right? And so we want to end that. And we got to organize the people, educate the people, and begin to organize from a basic fundamental level.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Much of this sound like sloganeering, eh?
Let me not even go as far as to say sloganeering, but it sounds in a lot of ways like a airy-fairy stuff. The fact of the matter is that what you have not said, Lloyd, is how your movement is gonna be different. And one, when we're talking about government, right, then certainly we're talking about, okay, what how is this government gonna be formed? What will the power of this government look like? Because power is something determined by the people. That's basically what it is. Is it gonna be a continuation of the same where you just seek political office through elections and come up with your own idea of governing? Or what are we really talking about? That is what I was expecting to
Yeah,
hear.
but you sound like you're not
No, hold
listening
on,
to what
listen to
I'm
me, listen
saying.
to
You're
me.
not listening to what I'm saying, and you're asking the same question over and over. I've already
Because you have
said
not
that
answered the
we're going to
question.
start with the people. Is where the people are. That we're going to organize the people. We're going to have a different political structure, etc., etc. So, I mean, for you to know, asking the question the way in which you're asking is like you're not paying attention to the points that I'm making.
No, but understand this lie, right? Just hear me out for a minute. Because you interrupt me and I don't think you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I understand what you're
Mike,
coming from, but you don't
just listen,
understand where I'm coming from,
just
it
listen,
seems
just
like.
listen, just listen, just listen, just listen. And Mikey posed a question, and I don't think he really answered the question, right? And follow up, last pose a question as well, right? And you make a half-hearted approach for answer it, but again, it doesn't provide a clear answer. And I can understand that because, as you say, you're building a movement, right? But at the same time, you must have some idea in terms of what you'd like to see differently from the way in which we have been operating as political parties and government, right? Because you're not talking about a political party, you're talking about
But
a
didn't I
movement.
give you a 10-point program? 10 things I listed that the two political parties don't support. They don't support free education, free healthcare, land for the landless, the minimum wage. 10 things that I announced that the two political parties don't support. They're corrupt,
I get
they
that. I get
involve
that.
in
I
all
get
kind
that.
of thing. So
I get
all I'm saying to you is that we're going to build a movement based upon that 10-point program, educating the people, organizing the people, and bring about the changes that are necessary to replace this corrupt, oppressive system that is for the rich and is against the poor. I mean,
and
what
how are
is
you
it
gonna
about
do
that you
that?
don't
How are you gonna
understand?
do that? How are
Eh?
you gonna do that?
Lord, but me just don't tell you already are the people, because you ever see when police go in a community and kill people, the people them rise up and then block the road, them do all kind of things. If they were to continue doing that, this system would change. But unfortunately, when police go and kill people and then block the road and say, well, we have to end this kind of thing, what they're doing doesn't continue. But we can see that there is the possibility, the potentiality for the people to be organized, to do their things based upon what they suffer. When the people don't have good road, then block the road. When they don't have water, when them children having problems in school, etc., etc. So they do that. So you have to recognize that there is a potentiality of power amongst the people to change the political system.
Lloyd, can I ask a direct question?
Yeah.
Okay. In most recent data put together by the Jamaica Gleaner, and I hope you think that is a honest source of information. A total of 69.5% of the population supports both political parties. That means the people you might be referring to are no more than what would that be? 30.1%. Am I 30.5%? Am I right? is what my question.
69% support.
Yeah,
Yeah,
31 or 30 point something.
0.5.
Yeah.
Right. So you're dealing with 30.5% of the population that most likely are not in a position to really argue, regardless of which party is in power. So it would be a floundering effort to start behind the eight ball and not be able to convince the 39% that supporting the PNP and the other 30% who supports the JLP. What say you?
Well, again, remember now, you can't be, the most important statistic is that when you have elections, right, only about 30 odd percent of the electorate go out there and vote. Even if they do a poll and people say, well, I'm going to support the PNP, I'm going to support the JLP, and they give you that 60 odd percent that they're talking about, it's meaningless. It's meaningless because even PNP not voting for PNP and JLP not voting for JLP, they just couldn't care less about it. So they may, in a poll, say, yes, I support the PNP or I support the JLP. But that is the real crucial data statistic is the amount of people who vote. And election after election after election, 50% at least of the people are not voting. So it is on that basis that we are saying, yes, let's go there. Let's get to the 50, 60% of the people that not vote. And we know, say, even those that vote don't have no passion for either PNP or JLP. Whenever you see a PNP or a JLP meeting, everybody have on a green shirt or orange shirt. Where them get it from? A JLP give them the shirt for come, and a PNP give them the shirt for come. And they give them the shirt because they might give them money to turn out. So don't be fooled by these parties that the JLP and the PNP have. They are paying the people, just like how the rich, powerful financial sector give them money and they go there. I'm on the road and I'm seeing, for example, I just give you a little anecdote. Miss Patricia Duncan Sutherland is trying to now run in St. Andrew Eastern. And I'm telling you, every single road you go, you see a poster with her picture in it. And I'm sure it is cost, I mean, don't say she's rich already, you know, but rich or not, it's costing millions and millions of dollars to put those posters up there. She might be rich, but you know, she have money. And so therefore she'll put it up there, etc., without any guarantee that she really is going to beat Favour Williams in the upcoming election. But the point that I'm really trying to make is that these people are in the pockets of the wealthy, of the powerful, and so therefore, you know, they know how to use the money, to spend the money, to put out their placards, to put money in people's pocket. Don't be fooled by it. We know that the people are not happy with the social, economic and political system. Even if a pollster come round and him say, yeah, me a PNP or me a JLP, PNP give me money or JLP give me money. That's how the system works.
So would you say then that that 30% who's not even participating in the poll, that 30%, how are you going to motivate them to want to participate? How are you going to change what's being said to them by the political parties, or what's being given to them by the political parties, or the people who are forcing them to the polls?
As I
How do you
said
get away
before,
from that, and how do you get an honest effort out of our people?
all right, well, listen now. We are having a discussion here today. I was here last week, and you invite me back again, and we're having a discussion. We don't see eye to eye. But that's the way politics is. You don't see eye to eye. But if you are determined that you're going to have a discussion, you're going to have a meeting, and you know, for example, that you have a good assessment of the political ideological situation, then you can go out there and you can be influential and affect people's thinking, ideology, etc. I am very confident that if I were to be able to raise some of that money that Patricia Duncan Sutherland has, and to be able to go out there and have public meetings and have placards and educate, we would make a significant change in the political situation, right? She not changing nothing because she just a looking about herself. But if we had those kind of finances and we go out there, we want to have a public meeting this month, right? By the end of April, we have to be begging money. We have to go get $20,000 in order to go rent a little room up at the University of the West Indies or some other place in order to get people to come and sit down and talk, just like we are talking here now. Patricia Duncan Sutherland don't have those problems, right? She have millions of dollars. She can go out there and get herself on TV and get herself in the Glean or the Observer and hold public meetings, etc. So don't be fooled that the people love her. She does have more money. But when we go there and we attract the attention of the people, there is love. But it's a little bit different, challenging to get the love or to show the love. But hers is not love. Hers is just money. And she go out there and she pay the money and she get what it is that she want. So you have to recognize that if you are somebody that is struggling for change, you have to make a personal sacrifice as well, right? You make maybe when you're dead, when you're ready for when your time come, you may not have achieved what it is that you set out to do, but people will applaud you for being very consistent, for saying this is what I'm fighting for, this is what I'm struggling for, and you will go down in history as a person who fought for the poor and the oppressed. Just like when Sam Sharp tried to overthrow slavery, organize the slaves. He wasn't successful, but him said, listen, hang me because I refuse to continue to live as a slave. You have to make that kind of a decision about where you stand in terms of whether you support the rich people or the poor people you want to support. You can't support the rich and poor at the same time. It don't work.
On that note,
John,
yes,
John,
on that note,
what
I'd
he's
like
saying
to,
sound familiar,
yes, and
right?
I'm glad that he
Yeah.
made this point. The need to struggle for change, and also the need to recognize that the country, the change that we require, what unites both myself and Mr. De Aguilar is that the change that we would like to see, and I think all of us on this panel, is a change that involves more activity, more consciousness, more unity, more involvement by the working people. However, in order to get that level of activity, consciousness, organization requires painstaking work, requires understanding of the political landscape. The truth is the landscape is worse than what Herbert's referred to. Now, 70% say they will vote for a party. 30% that don't vote. It's not that those are people who don't like no party. There are people who don't feel that they're not happy with the party, but they are not necessarily going to do something or involve themselves to change the system. So the first thing that I would say that in order not to get to burnout, Lloyd, if we are running a marathon, but we think it's 100 meters, we have a whole different approach to running a marathon than if we're running 100 meters. I would like to say that I think we are running a triple marathon. It's a harder road, a longer road, a more difficult road, but it's the same road we would like to both be on. We want to see power to the people in the real sense of the word. I also believe that in order to mobilize the people, some of the things that you refer to need to be considered. For example, land for the landless. Jamaica is a country with millions of acres of land that's owned by the big landowners. But there are many small landowners who are not a part of the successful big land ownership. Are you saying that all land is to go to landless people? I hope not. We would want to see the big land be controlled by the people. We would want to see education maybe at the top. We have to pay some money for university education, but certainly at the elementary, the high school, the vocational schools, we want to see a system of equity. I used to work in Trenchtown. There's no equity between what they call it now, a school that teach trade to one that teach academics in Jamaica. The system is divided up. The children who go to Campion don't have the same quality education as the children who go to Trenchtown Comprehensive. It's not that name anymore. It's a trade school. But that is what we want. We want to see a system that regardless of where you come from, you are able to be successful and contribute properly to the society. When you say direct vote, direct democracy, I'm still confused, but I thought you mean we have power over electorate. Power over electorate means one vote, every voter have one vote. We're voting for the parliament, the parliamentary, the members of parliament, as well as we're voting for the prime minister. At the end of the day, what we want is power to remove them. If they thief the country money, we can vote them out. We don't have to wait for the next election to vote them out. If they do like what Trump did, we can vote them out. We don't have to wait for the next election. If they do like what the lady in Trinidad did, the police should come and lock them up if they break the law. I'm not saying she did break the law, but if she did break the law, we would like to know that the police can lock them up. You need to put on that thing that run at the bottom of the screen, Mr. Chairman. And you need to tell members to subscribe. A gentleman put here that we have been on the program long going on and we don't have enough subscribers. So there are things that we can do or we would like to do to help build the consciousness, the education, and the organization of the people. And that is where we are. We don't have it now. And I don't agree that the two parties are the same. I made my point last week, and I don't believe that's the case. The only thing they are the same on is corruption. The one thing that unites the JFP and the PNP is the level of corruption and extrajudicial killing. That's the thing. That is the one thing that makes them inseparable. in my experience. Other things like education, they are different. Land reform, they are different. And so on. There are even elections, how the election system should work, and the constitution, they are different. So I don't think they are the same. One give the people more power than the next one. And not distinguishing that difference can lead to fatal, can be fatal. To say to people, don't vote in a situation where they are different, in effect, gives more power to the incumbent. We all know that when the party, whichever party is incumbent, right now is how much? 49 to 12 or something like that in the parliament. If you say to people don't vote and the people take heed with your call, it in effect says allow the 49 to stay, even if they have less, they will make less contribution than the party with 12 seats. So I don't think it's correct to have that slogan, and that's an area we can discuss another time in further. But that is my position, that whereas it's true that they are very close in regard to corruption and extrajudicial killings. I mean, it's almost unbelievable how close they are. They have no record of bringing anybody to justice. They don't fire them. They don't lock them up. Either party do the same thing. It's not enough to say that makes them the same. There are many other qualities or many other things that are going to make them different. So struggle for change is a big struggle. I agree with you. It's a hard struggle. It can even be a frustrating struggle. But that is the only struggle that is going to work. And there's no shortcut, unfortunately. And those of us
John,
who
PNP corrupt, JLP corrupt, JLP support police killing, PNP support police killing, but yet still you gonna hung up one of them same way because there is a difference between them, right? Well, I don't understand at all.
no,
Right?
because
You're gonna hug up a murderer and you gonna hug up a police, somebody who thief money out of poor people pocket, and you say, well, boy, if you must still vote for one of them. For what reason? Why are you voting for them for?
because there are other things that
Other
make
lovely
them
things that they're
different.
doing.
Secondly, you ask me a question.
Killing the people.
You ask
And
me
there are
a
other
question,
things
I'm
that
going to
you
answer you.
want to vote for them for. I mean, your argument just have no credibility. You lose credibility when you go down that road. That you still see some difference between PNP and JLP. Both of
No,
them are
I said that.
both of them
Allow me,
come from
Mr.
the
Chairman. You see the problem?
same
He asked me a
genre,
question and he
right?
doesn't
The
allow
same
me to
DNA
answer.
they come from. And you're trying to make a difference between PNP and JLP. You lose credibility when you go down that road, man.
Can I answer the question?
You're either
Lie,
PNP or you're
lie.
JLP and you advocate
I'm
for
going
JLP or
just,
PNP.
just,
Come
just,
on.
just, lie. I'm begging, I'm asking you, allow the person to finish what they're saying.
Yeah,
And then
I
you
know, I
can
hear it already, but it's just frustrating because
respond.
he was
Okay?
making some good points,
John,
and then
finish what you
now
say.
in say, boy, Lloyd, there is a difference between them. The both of them into murder, the both of them into corruption, but there's something about them that we can love one more than the other. Come on.
Yes, let me explain
Are you
an
going to allow him to
important,
finish line?
even on corruption.
Yeah, go ahead.
A man who thief $1 million is not the same as a man who thief $100,000.
They're thieving it from the people, from poor people. It's 738 million US dollars that are wiped off every year. We're not talking about $100, $1,000. We're talking about millions of US dollars stolen each year. The Prime Minister has been accused of illicit enrichment. There's Mark Golden. Him have offshore companies that him don't pay no taxes. He and Peter Bunting have already done what they could have done to pocket the people's money. There are politicians on both sides that if you were to expose them right now, they are totally corrupt and exploiting the system. Come on. I mean, you don't recognize that.
Let me answer
something, John.
Mr. Chairman.
Come on, man.
Like, hold on, John. John, hold on, John. Lie. Again. Let the other members of the panel.
Yeah, but the man talk already. Make me get him frustrated now. Him don't talk already. I'm here talk now. I'm here saying
I talk to you now, John?
No, right? Because the two political parties, them corrupt. The two of them are murderer, right? Yeah, them kill off the people, them murder, and them in the pockets of the rich and the powerful. Right? Right now, several Caribbean leaders have said that they would rather lose their visa than to end the medical relationship with Cuba. As Andrew Horner said, he's willing to give up his visa to go to the United States. Is Mark Golden willing to give up his visa to go to the United States? Both of them in the pockets of the United States. Right?
Can I say something to you now?
Whatsoever. You don't recognize that.
Let me say something. If this is how you conduct yourself in terms of recruiting people to your movement, you're not going to get anyone, brother.
All right.
You have to learn.
So you want us to just end it now? Because
you have to learn to listen to that.
A 5 owner may talk to 5 or 6 owner, and you are all the same. You have the same point of view, etc., etc. It's not possible.
John,
all right, just let me ask
John, move in another direction.
Some question.
So I accept it. We're not going nowhere in this discussion at all.
All right, last.
You willing to continue the discussion with me, Light?
Yeah. Go ahead, Light.
Light.
Yes.
John, hold on. No, John, you finished?
The discussion
no, hear from John. John, you finished, John?
No, but don't bother go back there, John. With John, man.
Yeah, I won't bother go back there. The man is I can tell that he push up.
All right, John.
No, man.
All right, last. Go ahead, last. Go ahead.
I want to say to Lloyd that there are a lot of points in your manifesto that I agree with, and I'm sure a lot of the members on the panel agree with. The problem is that we have different ideas as to how we're going to get there, right? Your point of view is that we're going to get to achieving your manifesto by thinking that the two political parties don't exist, or that as long as...
I never said they don't exist. I said they exist. They are oppressing the people, but there's no difference between them. I never said they don't exist.
Hear me out and then you respond.
Yeah, but then you incorrectly saying something that I never said. I never said they don't exist.
Even if I say something that you didn't say, you'll have a
I'm correcting you now, so you accept my correction and then you move on.
I accept your correction, my brother.
Okay, fine. So continue.
Okay. So following with what you are saying is that we need to organize ourselves. We need to act in unison. We need to get out these corrupt people out of government. I agree with you 100%. We need to get these people out of government. But when? We can't do it overnight.
I never said we were going to do it overnight.
I'm not saying you said anything. I am saying that we can't do it overnight.
I'm in total agreement with you, and I never
So,
said
so
we were
let
going
me
to do
finish.
it overnight.
So let me finish. I am making the statements. I'm not saying you say. I'm saying what I believe. Right? We won't do it overnight. So because we can't do it overnight, the two parties that we have right now, the problem that a lot of people face with them is that we cannot hold them accountable. We cannot hold them accountable on corruption. We cannot hold them accountable in carrying out the things that
We can hold them accountable. We can hold them accountable. Because 70% of the people see the two political parties are corrupt, and we are announcing ways and means in which they can be held accountable. They can be held accountable.
Can you listen to me?
Yeah, but you know, they can't be held accountable. What do you mean they can't be held accountable? They can. If we know what to do, they can be held accountable.
Listen my point, and you can respond to me when I'm finished. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
But once again, say, well, accept what I just told you. They can be held accountable.
I can't accept what you say. I have my own views.
So they can't be held accountable then. So what we even talking for then?
I did not say
that. We're not getting
so you are saying that they are dictators. They are dictators. They can't be held accountable for killings, corruption, nothing.
I did not say they can't be held accountable.
That is what you're saying.
Lloyd is not concerned about having a discussion.
What I'm saying to you, Lloyd, is that the problem with that we have with the both parties is that the system that is in place does not give the people the opportunity to hold them accountable. Are you agreeing? Do you agree?
Yes. No, you're talking that way. If you change the system,
if you listen, you'll understand what I'm saying. If you listen to me,
all right, just continue.
But I have a bigger problem.
Continue.
Hold on. I have a bigger problem, you know. And I think people listening to this broadcast will have a problem. The problem I have, you see, it more has to do with those of us on the left who think we know the solution to the problem that Jamaican people face. And we are not willing to listen to those who disagree with us. That is a big problem we face. And we have to learn how to overcome that. Jamaican people tired of that sort of approach where people them sit down, them figure out the problem, and then them come in our community and want to tell we what them think we should be doing. Like, you need to listen, man. And when folks talking, you give them a chance to express themselves so you can hear what them say. You understand, my brother? Because regardless of the difference, you know, we all want good for Jamaica. We all want that. And the only way we can bring that about, we have to listen to each other, sit down, reason. And even with our enemy them too, you know, we have to sit down and talk to them. So, brethren, we have to change, brethren. We have to change. In a forum like this, platform like this, they give us the opportunity to get some ideas out and different. And people listening, just give them a chance, man, to listen rather than just, oh, man. Patrick, you were saying? I was saying that you didn't get to finish what you were saying, Patrick.
Yeah. I was trying to get to point. I mean, last raised a lot of what I was planning on talking about. But what happens is that because Lloyd is not listening, what he keeps doing is interrupting and disrupting our thoughts. Right? So nobody's getting any clear understanding one way or the other. Right? All we're trying to do is get to see exactly, right, where we have common ground right, and where we can build, right? But Lloyd tend to feel that, I guess, once he thinks you disagree with him, which is not even a disagreement, but it's just that what he thinks, right? He thinks it's a disagreement, so for that reason, then him just get disruptive, and we don't achieve anything that way.
Herb, do you have any more questions for
Yeah, Lloyd was saying to Les and largely that there is no way to change or to control what these politicians do. I'm sorry. This is pretty much what our guy's been saying. Now I'm asking Lloyd, what ideas do you have specifically that's going to force these people to change how they think about Jamaica and Jamaicans and how they
Well,
administer democracy in Jamaica? What would you do in the parliament to ensure that happens?
well, as I've said before, and as not just you, but everybody here has said, is that the people have no control over the parliament. We have a democratic dictatorship. The only thing that the people do is to participate in election every 5 years. And after they vote, the politicians couldn't care less about the people. They don't consult them. They don't care what happens, right? The only time the people can send a message to the politicians is to go and have a protest, a demonstration, and sometimes they will listen. And then sometimes they will declare a state of emergency and they will send the police in there to lock up people, put them in the back of a van and carry them, go lock them up, etc., etc., etc. I mean, we have to accept this as a fact. This is the dictatorship of the PNP and the JLP according to how the political system is set up. And
Okay,
we can
what would you change?
we can therefore see that we have to build a political movement so that we can lock down the system if it is necessary in order to get a point across to the politicians that we are not accepting this, we're not accepting that, and so on. We do that. There is no way, I've given you several examples already, that the system is able to get around corruption, they get around police killings, whatever. They don't consult with the people, etc. So therefore, in order to build a movement, you have to go there, you have to educate, you have to organize. It is not the snap of a finger and things are going to change. But right now, we are on the eve of the declaration of an election. And all we are saying is that we are going to use this as an opportunity to get the point out there, the 10-point program that you've all seen, and to call for a boycott of the election, whether people are going to boycott or not. It is our point of discussion, of argument with the people, trying to educate them. So we are not going to say that at the end of the day, we are going to solve the problem, but we are going to start to have a discussion with the people, to organize, to mobilize, to get the points across. And when we begin to do that, we will be able to see how things work out going down the road. It's as simple as that, right? So, but there has to be an understanding that there is no difference between PNP and JLP, and both of them will be treated the same way as two corrupt political parties that need to be got rid of, and we need people's power instead of the power of the PNP and the JLP manipulated
Can I
and
say something?
funded by the rich and the powerful in the country. We have to accept that. That is the
But
point. I'm making.
you're referring, Lloyd, to 30% of the people who don't vote, according to this last poll,
No,
right?
it was more than 30% who did not vote. It was 50% of the people in the last parish council election. 50% of the people never vote. In the general elections in, when was it, 2020, it
Yeah.
was around that amount of people who also didn't vote. All right? A lot of people don't vote. And as I've said repeatedly, people, even the people who vote, are not, there's no passion that they have for the people because the political parties are paying them to vote. So if you understand the politics of Jamaica, the people have no passion for these two political parties. Anytime you see something that looks like passion, is because they are paying the people. They are giving them green shirts and orange shirts and paying them, sending bus for them and truck for them and put them in the back of the truck and the bus and carry them to their political parties. And so when the cameras come out there, it looks like, yeah, you know, they have the support of the people. They don't. They don't have the support of the people, but the people don't have a program, a people's program. And what we're trying to get out there is a people's program so the people can see themselves as the alternative to the PNP and the JLP and the present political economic system. So we have to start somewhere. You're not going to snap your finger and you solve all the problems. You have to go out there, roll up your sleeve, and begin to interact, to educate, and do what is necessary.
Can I say
Lloyd,
something?
hold on. Lloyd, can you tell me which community you're actively working now, doing organizing work, your movement?
We go
When you
in
say
any
which
community
community,
where there is work to be done. I have a good relationship with the people in Tivoli Gardens. I have relationship with other communities in Western Kingston, in Augustown, etc., etc. So
anti-corruption movement,
we have that
the
kind of
anti-corruption.
relationship.
Okay, so you're organizing in those areas.
We are reaching out. We want to have more public meetings. We have had street protests, and we want to have more relationship. But it's not. It's a challenging situation, as I've said before. We don't have the money like Patricia Duncan, Sutherland, and others who can just hold out them hand, and the private sector will give them money, and they can do what they want to do. So it is not easy when you're doing what it is that you're doing, but we are committed and we will continue to do what is necessary and what can be done.
Yeah, can I say something now?
I noticed I noticed something though. When you call out the PNP members, them you don't call out the GLP members, them who you identify as corrupt though.
I
It's
call
just the
what?
PNP
I don't
members
know
them
what.
you keep on pointing to. I
Say that
said when
again. That what?
I observed that when I said that I observed that when you point to individuals who are corrupt, politicians who are corrupt, you identify the PNP members,
I
but you,
invent.
you,
I
you,
talk
you
about
haven't yet
Mr.
identified
Holness,
the
and I
JLP
talk.
members
No,
who
come on,
it is
come on. I
alleged
identify
corrupt.
PNP members. I talk about Andrew Holness. I talk about
Okay.
the Minister of Education. You know, come on, man. I mean, what you mean? I don't talk about. I am not a supporter of the PNP or the
Okay.
JLP. I have never voted for either PNP or JLP in my life. I have never voted for none of them. And as far as I'm concerned,
Okay.
Mark Golden is corrupt, and also Andrew Holness is corrupt. The two of them, Peter Bunting, Mark Golden, Andrew Holness, all that whole heap of ministers inside there that should be, I've had to resign, etc., etc. Right? Whole heap of them, including you know,
Last.
whole heap of them, right? There have been allegations against them. Christopher
I
Tufton,
listen to
Christopher
Last,
Tufton,
last,
Colin
go ahead,
Hill,
last.
the whole of them.
I listen to Lied. I listen to Lied. And Lied speaks a lot about building a movement, about mobilizing, about educating, organizing, but it is you don't talk about building any structures to actually hold people accountable, to actually make changes in the community. I don't hear you talk about the structures that your organization, when you go into a community and work, what structures you try building these communities, what you leave behind to try practically create a movement so that people can do things, to hold the politicians accountable, to actually fight corruption on the ground in these communities. It's not just about education, just talking about education, talking about mobilizing, talking about organizing. What is it in terms of structures that you have been building or you think is needed to create change, not just in the individual communities,
I
but
said
across
people,
Jamaica?
community, self-government. I said that already.
What
We say
what
if the people
structures?
them have community,
That is just a
self-government,
word. That
they
is
will
just a
get
slogan.
together, they will
That's a
discuss the
slogan.
conditions in their
What
community, and they
structure
will let the
represents?
politicians know what they want and what they will not accept. Right?
What
I
kind of
already said
structure?
that. You're not paying
What kind of
attention to what
structure
I'm saying.
represents? What
God
kind of
asked me a
structure
question that
represents
we don't tell you
community
already. We need
self-government?
community self-government.
What kind of structure reflects
The people them come
community
together, them
self-government?
sit down in our building, and them say, all right, this is what is going on. We out here protest over police killing. Well, listen, Mr. Minister, Mr. National Security, we're not putting up with this anymore. We're going to lock down the place. We don't want you inside there, etc., etc.,
Talking,
etc.
talking and
Right? That's
locking
what I'm
down place
saying.
is not an organization.
Oh
Folks,
God! All right,
Talking,
we
talking
can't go
and
no more. It's
locking
not an
down a place.
organization.
folks,
We
folks.
are calling it the people's community self-government. The people will
Talking,
decide. They will call it what they want to call it. Whether they want to call it
talking or
Trenchtown,
calling an
Georgetown,
organization,
Tivoli
whatever you
Gardens,
want calling,
whatever it
is not
is.
an
Right? But it
organization.
was so difficult to
It's not a
understand
structure
what
to
it is
create
that
any
I'm
change.
saying.
Hello,
Right?
folks,
Why is it so difficult? I don't understand.
folks,
You're deliberately choosing not to try and understand what I'm saying because you don't want to go down that road. You want to maintain your support for either PNP or GLP, wherever your position is. So that is why it's so difficult for you to understand what it is that I'm saying, because you are trapped in PNP, GLP situation. That is what your problem is.
Okay.
Right? You're not
So,
prepared to say,
Lloyd,
well, to hell with PNP and
what
hell
do you
with
think?
GLP. We
What
want
is
a
the
people's
self-government
alternative
legality?
to the system. You are trapped, and that is what your problem is.
It's
Yeah.
not
You're
your
trapped in the
problem.
political system.
That self-government doesn't mean anything, Lloyd. You can't govern Jamaica with people's self-government. People's self-government just means they're talking to themselves. It doesn't make any sense. Because he took off.
This is not coming back. Happy
You
with
run,
that.
you run the man off last.
yeah,
He run himself
So,
off. He run
yeah,
himself off.
folks,
yeah, he keeps on his self-government.
brethren,
I ask him,
this,
what specifically are you going to propose in Parliament? He don't even get to Parliament yet. He's still out there
No,
talking
because
about
he
people's
thinks
self-government.
all people have to do is demonstrate
no,
and
It's
folks,
not going to
listen,
get to Parliament.
PNP and
listen,
GLP is going to disappear.
Yeah,
But
well,
that's not even the thing, Herb.
no,
What
you
happens
don't
is
need
that
more,
Lloyd loves to talk about the problem as it is, right? And we all know what the problem is. Yeah, do a good job breaking that down, right? And saying what it is. but him don't want to deal with the solution, right? Because him claim to have an idea as to how we can solve the problem.
Pretend that the
Right?
PNP
But
and
he
the
doesn't
JP
want to. He
don't
doesn't want
exist.
to engage in discussing that. So him have all these talking points, and him expect that when him use these talking points, right? We just must simply swallow it, right, and move on. And there's no swallowing and move on, because that is what has brought us to where we are, right? That is what the PNP and the JLP do. They have talking points. That's what they have always done. Him talk about money. That is why they have survived a lot of things, and they're still, forces to reckon with, because we keep thinking that everything surrounds money. That's how they keep us controlled.
Yeah, well,
Right?
he
You
said
can't compete with them around money.
Yeah, but that is but what lied manifests is a much deeper problem still, And it have to do with the left movement, Left, how we talk, and whether once we hold on to something, we think that is the truth.
You're absolutely
And
correct.
we're
You're
not
absolutely
allowing
correct,
anyone
Mikey.
else to come in.
You're absolutely correct on that.
And that is what is happening with lies.
Yes, exactly. That is precisely what it is.
And
right?
it turned off a lot of people.
Well enough not to listen. Right? Him figure that he know it well enough not to listen to anybody.
He says he's been doing it for
and
what?
If you disagree with him, then you support it.
For what?
He's been doing it for over 2 decades, and that's why.
Hold on, Mikey.
him just come.
2 decades.
Yes.
him just come around.
And that give him the right to
teach everybody else everything.
Well, him just a come. It's
a lot of noise. Nobody's hearing him. Nobody's listening.
Yeah,
because he's not attracting the type of the 30%ers.
He doesn't want anybody to listen. Herb, him just, I don't know. He doesn't want anybody to listen.
Well,
at least we gave him a hearing.
Something, and I hope those of you listening are watching. We gave him a hearing, and in take more than a hearing. Him come like him want to go for that, because we learn certain things, when somebody attack, you listen, and that's the only way you learn. You have to listen. You understand me? Them bridging and it's something in Jamaica right now, and especially the left more, where a man just feels saying know what's right, it's truth, and that's where I run the shoot, And from my experience, I know that never leads to nothing good. Because he's not going to win any members to his movement if that is the approach it might happen. Nobody's not going to sit down for that sort of, to be in that sort of atmosphere. Nobody don't want to get into that. The shouting and, listen to no one, and if somebody disagree with you, you say, right, well, you support the GLP or you support the PNP. It no work. No work, So, on that note, I want to thank the bridging them, for today experience, and somebody put in the chat that we need to be asking folks to subscribe and what have you. I hope you guys listening will do that. You subscribe to the platform, White House Vibes, and tell a friend about it, So, brethren, comrades, warriors, until next week, we're going to have a speaking. You'll enjoy this guest, a professor from the UWI, and he's a man who, I won't say more, but I'll send out some information about this professor. All right, guys. See you until next week.
Yeah. One
One
love.
love.
One love.
All right, brother. Cool.